Super FM 93.3 Port Harcourt. This is the World News at noon. Remember, every child is a child. Support inclusive education. In the highlights of the news, Senator Magnus Abe confirms membership of SDP. Former Nigerian ambassador to the Netherlands, Ojin Gofa, says lack of accountability is responsible for poor governance in the state. PDP in Rivers State says Ojin Gofa lacks knowledge of the achievements of Governor Nyesom Wike in Rivers State. And Nigerian Army reshuffles top brass. Now in the detail of the news, I am Ijoma Mbama. A former senator who represented Rivers Southeast in the Senate, Magnus Abe, has finally confirmed his membership of Social Democratic Party, SDP. Senator Magnus Abe, on his verified Facebook page, said he remains irrevocably committed to the ideals that have driven his politics through the years. He also said he will continue to do all he can to improve internal democracy in the politics of Nigeria and focus on the people. A former Nigerian ambassador to the Netherlands, Ojin Gofa, says bad leadership and lack of accountability in Rivers State is responsible for the decline in the foreign direct investment into the state since 2016. Ojin Gofa, while speaking at an event in Port Harcourt, said the present administration in Rivers State lacks the vision to drive economic development in the state.
And so no investor can come to a state where even the judiciary is not working, because they need institutions, they need a law to adjudicate when there are differences between business people. None is working. So if we have accepted that there is no good governance in Rivers State, where have we come from as a people in terms of the political evolution of Rivers State? First, like somebody said, the glorious years between 1967 and 1975 saw what I consider the profound foundation of good governance in Rivers State under Papa Priye Diete Spiff. Then, of course, what I consider another glorious period was the period of Rotimi Amechi from 2007 to 2015. It is a period in our political history that saw the most comprehensive, all-encompassing development of the states. And now, from 2015 to date, it's a colossal disaster.
Ojin Gofa further said the present administration has divided the state into ethnic and political lines.
It's a government that has no respect for truth. It's a government that believes that you must cheat your way through everything. It's a government that believes in manipulation. It's a government that does not have any respect and regard for human dignity. I heard the MC define Rivers people here, that we used to be very proud people. We love ourselves. But what do we have today? Rivers State is most divided now than ever in our history. You have youths fighting on social media over things they hardly understand. The same people that have impoverished you, you spent your data defending.
The former Nigerian ambassador to the Netherlands, Ambassador Ojin Gofa, further said the Rivers people need to get it right in 2023 to change the present narrative in the state.
Just to look, the state where we are now as a people requires every hand be on deck. Whether your budget, imperial leadership that we have in the state today affects everybody, whether you are partisan or not. When the president, very difficult, because everybody looks at it from the perspective of party politics. But the United Nations had given us 5 basic concepts of what good governance entails. Number 1, it's participation. You're ruling or governing the people, there must be what? Participation. Number 2, transparency. Every entity you govern must be what? Transparent. And number 3 is accountability. Accountability. You cannot govern the people and you cannot be held accountable for. And number 4 is rule of law. Is there any of them that we find in Rivers State?
In his reaction, the Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Sidney Igbara, said the former ambassador lacks information on achievements of Governor Nyesom Wike's administration. Sidney Igbara says the former ambassador, Ojin Gofa, is only seeking attention at this political period.
Ojin Gofa, an attention seeker who has persistently plied his trade of deceit ever since he came back to get at the gullible populace. To say that the administration of Governor Wike lacks vision clearly shows that the former ambassador is not in tune with the current reality and is economical with the truth. These are not the kind of people we need to hear from at this critical time of our polity. We need to hear from men who have pedigree and have something to offer Rivers State. The APC government is a colossal failure, and any person that is identifying with them is he himself a failure.
Meanwhile, the chieftain of the All Progressives Congress APC in Rivers State, Alex Welle, has called the present administration low in education sector of rural development, but commended facelift of Port Harcourt. Alex Welle, who stated this in an interview with our correspondent, regretted that Governor Nyesom Wike present administration has abandoned education facilities put in place by the previous administration across the state. He also asked Governor Wike to open up more internal roads as he plans to build 2 more flyovers in Port Harcourt.
One of the roads that I expected Wike to have done is that there's a road under administration of Mechi. From that Open University at Ozoba here, there is a road that leads straight to Maitre. Now, why trying to construct this flyover? Even if it's not too okay, if you make it motorable, that road would have served a very good purpose, at least to decongest and ease the hardship that will be occasioned by the new flyover that is coming up at Location Junction and Fumokuta. Because those 2 areas, they are major roads in Rivers State. So if you lock them up, you lock the entire Rivers State. Honestly, in area of education, I will not score him high because I've not seen much improvement in that. I may say that about linking the urban city to the rural roads.
The APC chieftain in the state, however, said the flyovers have given Port Harcourt a facelift.
Some of the ones I have seen, I'm happy with them. The only one I'm not too happy with is the Romo Domaya flyover because it hasn't solved any problem there. But other ones, I can say it has added to the beauty of Rivers State. For instance, Nzimiro flyover and that of Romo, which was considered under order, they were narrow. But when Wike came, he expanded it. What I think that is befitting of that Romo Domaya flyover is the prototype of the Obrikwere flyover. That's the only way you can solve the traffic problem. And then there's no turning before the roundabout itself. In terms of urban renewal, yes, I can score Wike high. The major city, that is Port Harcourt and Obiakpo, there is a proper facelift of the roads.
The Deputy Governor of Rivers State, Dr. Ekpalibo Harry Banigo, has called on Rivers people to obtain their permanent voters' cards before the deadline on July 31st. Dr. Ekpalibo Banigo said this while hosting women leaders, stakeholders of Rivers West Senatorial District of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, at the Government House in Port Harcourt. Dr. Ekpalibo Banigo said Rivers people must realize that their vote is their voice. She noted that they must get their PVCs to enable them participate actively in electing the right leaders during the 2023 general election. The Deputy Governor thanked them for their support for Governor Nyesom Wike, whom she described as a gender-friendly leader. Dr. Ekpalibo Banigo said Governor Nyesom Wike has provided more leadership positions for women in the state. In her remarks, the woman leader of PDP Rivers West Senatorial District, Josephine Gabriel, said they were at the Government House to felicitate and pray with the Deputy Governor for the success of the upcoming 2023 general elections. A professor of law at the Rivers State University, Professor Richard Wokocha, says the opposition senators at the National Assembly have enough time to commence impeachment process of the president should they want to start the proceedings. Opposition senators had on Wednesday threatened to commence impeachment proceedings against President Muhammadu Buhari if he fails to address the security challenges in the country within 6 weeks. Professor Richard Wokocha, while speaking to our correspondent during Super FM News at 6, said impeachment process takes up to 12 weeks.
The time required for an impeachment proceeding to take place is very much available. The administration still has nearly 1 year, let's say 10 months or thereabout to go. And that means there is more than enough time. 3 months is enough. 3 to 4 months is enough.
Professor Richard Wokocha further said the senators can only commence the impeachment process if there is a complainant.
If the National Assembly is satisfied by half of the members, by 2/3 of the members satisfied that complaint is justified, then the matter will be committed to the Chief Judge of the state of Nigeria within 7 days of that satisfaction to set up a committee of 14 persons of integrity in Nigeria who should look at the complaint that is made, and if they return a verdict that the facts alleged are true, then the House, by a two-thirds majority vote can determine the situation. Once that vote is passed, the president stands removed.
Professor Richard Wokocha, however, said the president can only be impeached in Nigeria if he violates his oath of office.
The reasons for which a president can be impeached include violation of his oath of office, malfeasance or gross misconduct, and incapacity. So if the House, the interesting thing about it is that the legal definition of gross misconduct is left in the hands of the members of the National Assembly. So if the members are of the view that the facts established constitute a gross misconduct, it is in law a gross misconduct. So inability to secure the country or to take the right steps to the point where even the Federal Capital Territory has become an operational area for bandits, I think that will satisfy the ground.
The National Security Council says it would implement new strategies to address insecurity and terrorist attacks across the country. The National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, retired, said this to State House correspondents after a Security Council meeting chaired by the President, Muhammadu Buhari. Babagana Monguno said the President is well aware of the dire security challenges the country finds itself in at the moment.
Mr. President understands people's concerns about the growing insecurity, but I can assure you that there's no straight, cut and dried method of dealing with this thing unless all of us embrace each other.
Babagana Monguno said the solution to the security challenges will not come from a single strategy.
Members of the armed forces have also made a commitment that in the coming weeks, they've already started working on a new strategy to deal with these snippets of violence. And they've given their word, their commitment to the president that there will be a change in momentum, regardless of the fact that there might be certain institutional limitations which they face.
The National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, retired, however, assured that security agencies will renew its momentum in the fight against terrorism.
Come up with recommendations, hold those who are supposed to be held accountable for their deeds, and to ensure that this type of thing never, ever, ever happens again in this country. It is important for the media to understand that certain reports being generated by the media, either the manner in which they report can also aggravate this delicate situation.
The Nigerian Army has announced reshuffling of its leadership by appointing new general commanders, corps commanders, and commandants of training institutions, brigade commanders, and commanding officers, amongst others. Our statements by the Defense Headquarters signed by the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Oyema Nwachukwu, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, approved the posting and appointment of some senior officers in order to tackle the spate of security breaches rocking the country. Statement said reshuffling of the army is to reposition the Nigerian Army for operational efficiency and proficiency. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, however, approved the posting and appointment of some senior officers of the Nigerian Army to command, instructional, and staff appointments across Nigerian Army formations and units. Still on the news at 12, medical experts advise Nigerians to desist from activities that will lead them to contract viral hepatitis. Plus, other stories after this break.
There is power in
breaking satanic chains.
Peter therefore was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him.
Peter was restrained after the angel smote him. The chain on his leg fell off. There are two types of chain. There is a visible chain and there is an invisible chain. When we say chain, what do we mean? Chain is an instrument of restraining. Chain is a satanic bondage. There are many people. You are meant to be a helper to people, but you're a beggar now. There are many stars. The devil is scared of your destiny. That's why he kills your finance, because he knows through your wealth, many lives are going to change. Through your wealth, many souls are going to be rescued. Through your wealth, many people will become wealthy. So he doesn't want you to get that wealth. There is marine chain. There's some people, your sperm is under the water. There's some sisters, your womb is under the water. There are some sisters, your wedding gown is under the water. They chained it under the water. There's some people, your money have been chained under the water. That's why you're struggling. I don't know the chain the enemy has put on your leg. Today, that chain shall break in the name of Jesus.
OPM, Dr. Jesus in Action. Dr. Jesus in Action. God is here.
Still on the news at noon on Super FM 93.3. A legal practitioner in River State, Isaiah Kanwi, has again threatened to file a suit against the federal government over poor state of the LMS section of the East-West Road. Isaiah Kanwi, while speaking to our correspondent, said he would take the federal government to court after 7 days if they fail to commence the maintenance of the road. He said his decision is because of the failure of the government to fulfill its mandate to Nigerians. The legal practitioner in River State, Isaiah Kanwi, further lamented the LMS section of the East-West Road is now a death trap.
We have issued a warning to the Federal Republic of Nigeria to commence immediate rehabilitation of East-West Road, beginning from the Omer Trailer Park Junction down to Eleme Junction. This is because the road is no longer passable and is deplorable. In fact, the road is, by description, is a death trap. It has potholes, pits, member. It's not where human beings can access. So it beats every person's imagination that in this 21st century Nigeria, such is to be named called road. So based on that, we have issued our warning 17 days ago, advance warning to the Federal Republic of Nigeria to commence the application of that road. Otherwise, we will approach the court.
Away from politics, a professor of French and Translation Studies at Ignatius Ajo University of Education, Professor Priye Iyala Amadi, has called on African leaders to take advantage of the multiplicity of languages to advance their technology. Professor Priye Iyala Amadi said this while delivering her lecture at the 40th inaugural lecture at Ignatius Ajo University of Education, Port Harcourt, with the topic, Translation as a Tool for Indigenous Language Engineering, the African Experiment. She said that translation could serve as the needed bridge for accessing African heritage.
Yes, so what I just delivered is using translation as a tool for indigenous language engineering. That is, we have to, through translation, be able to make our languages express technological matter. That's because we have to capture all these things in our environment. You know, solar energy, hydroelectric power, and so on. So the answer lies in our languages to visualize properly what it is we are expressing. And that's where you cannot invent. So I believe that the reason we are not inventing is because we cannot picture these words. Our languages don't have words for them. So we try to musically engineer our languages to have words and terms for this.
On his part, the acting Vice-Chancellor of the Ignatius Ajo University of Education, Port Harcourt, Professor Okechukwu Onuchukwu, advised parents to speak their indigenous languages to their children and words at home.
Well, you can see that she has displayed her proficiency in her area. And you know that the inaugural lecture is where professor will come and tell us what he or she has been professing. And today she has done it. She's a professor of French and translation. And she has told us what translation is. She has also, examined several models of translation. And she came on to tell us that any translator of any language must be precise and also be clear so that the person is translating to will understand.
Medical experts have advised Nigerians to desist from activities that will make them to contract viral hepatitis. The advice was given during an event to mark the 2022 World Hepatitis Day. In his comments, the team leader of Farmer Guide Nigeria, Joseph Abirim, during a hepatitis awareness campaign at Rumokoro, Port Harcourt, advised Nigerians to desist from sharing unsterilized objects, which is one of the causes of viral hepatitis.
The least we can do is to spread and share the information we have. We may not be able to provide free testings and maybe free drugs or whatever, but we can provide knowledge that we have. So that's our own way of bringing the knowledge. And the message is simple. Do everything you can to keep hepatitis away, because you may have hepatitis and you may not be able to survive it, whereas some persons can have it and survive it. Yes, hep can't wait. We want people to get tested. If you know you are at risk, yes, you are sexually active, you are a middle-aged person or a child. So if you are at risk, get tested.
In his comments, a public health physician at the University of Port Harcourt, Dr. Omosivye Maduka, called on Nigerians to visit hospitals to check their hepatitis status.
World Hepatitis Day gives us a unique opportunity to create awareness about hepatitis and the different types of hepatitis and what people need to do to be sure that they are safe and protected from hepatitis. One of the things that we talk about during World Hepatitis Day is the need for people to screen and know their hepatitis status. So there are basic screening tests that you can do if you go to any government hospital that you can do to know whether you have hepatitis or not, because hepatitis may be present in someone's body and will cause damage to the liver before the person realizes that what is going on. But if you detect early and start treatment, you can actually be treated for hepatitis and it will not progress to causing liver damage or damage to any other part of the body, and then the person will not transmit to other.
Farmers in Emiliga community in Abba Oda local government area have called for government intervention over the recurrent flood that hits the area during rainy seasons. The farmers who spoke with our correspondent Judith Goswell said the flood has destroyed their crops and farm produce. They, however, appealed to the government for soft loans and grants to put necessary measures in place to enable the farmers to mechanize their farm to curtail the menace of flooding in the area.
September is coming. We may have floods in some areas which affect the farm product. And when the farm product is affected, every of the farm product will be uprooted. And how to preserve it is our problem. If we don't have a way of preserving those products, all the product got spoiled. Some we eat and some that we cannot preserve them. Some of those food products that we cannot preserve. Those products, we just waste. They should come and empower us.
On his part, the leader of Emiliga Farmers Association, Arugu Fabian, said the soft loan and grants by the government reduce the hardship faced by the farmers and help them do better.
Because sometimes to clear the bush, sometimes it takes us a time. We don't have machines, so we hire laborers to clear enough that can sustain enough farm. You know, at least some of us can farm at least half a hectare a year to get a very good produce. We have a very fertile land here. Some are disvirgin forests. Sometimes we disvirgin some of these forests to make all this produce. But the problem we have here, when it comes to the flood, so many things wipe off away. We lost plantain, pineapple, cassava, or even all these crops that cannot grow beyond the water level.
And just before we go, let's take a look at the headline of our major stories. Senator Magnus Abe confirms membership of SDP, a Nigerian army reshuffles top brass. And that was the news. It was edited by Shegun Wolabi with the assistance of Ugochukwu Iwichukwu and produced by Ruki Ogono. You could also visit us on our social media platforms at Super FM PH on Facebook, Twitter, on Instagram, Super FM 93.3 Port Harcourt. Remember, every child is your child. Support inclusive education. Good afternoon.
News, sports, entertainment, and talk for the whole family.